everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is Two Beards Talking. I am Daniel Sanders.
And I'm DonnieJ.
And as we always do here at the start of Toot, I can't talk tonight. Two Beards Talking. There we go.
Find those syllables, brother.
There we go. We want to give a big shout out to the troops out there, men and women serving overseas and on the home front. We appreciate everything y'all are doing for us. Keep up the good work. Come home safe. We're all rooting for you here back home. Got a lot to talk about tonight. Lots been happening. Biggest thing we're going to talk about, well, not the biggest thing, but the first thing we're going to talk about is Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers passed away yesterday.
He did.
Very sad. 81 years old.
And, you know, one of my favorite country artists ever. And people don't understand, a lot of people don't realize that before he was a country artist, he was a psychedelic rock artist. Mm-hmm. Kenny Rogers in the first edition, one of his biggest hits was, I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. If you've ever heard the song, the original version of it, you know, if you're tripping on acid or, you know, smoke some really good weed or whatever, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a big hit for him.
Yeah. So, you know, and this is, you know, as I'm sure a lot of people know, Kenny Rogers and Lionel Richie were
Great
brothers.
friends.
I mean,
yes,
they were like
yes,
this.
Absolutely.
And I remember there was a video from a couple of years ago. Lionel Richie was being honored for something.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who don't know, Lionel Richie wrote the song Lady. That basically launched Kenny Rogers into superstardom.
He didn't launch him. He was a superstar before that. He had The Gambler and he had Coward of the County. So you can't say that launched him. It took him into a different direction. It gave him crossover props. Okay.
Okay. I'll say that.
He went from being just a country artist to being crossover.
Yeah, okay, so we'll say that.
Because you got the front man for the Commodores that's pinned your song, and you're doing, it took him a whole new genre.
So, but Kenny Rogers is telling the story about how they came up with the song. Lionel Richie already had just Lady. He had the melody,
but
he had the tune.
He called it Baby.
Well,
Baby, yeah.
Well, no, he had already changed it by this point to Lady, and
Kenny Rogers said, "Hey, this lady, whatever." He's like, "Okay." And Kenny Rogers said, "What was the name of that song again?" And Lionel said, "Lady."
Yeah. So, you know, he said Lionel Richie called him up, said, "Hey, you know, I've got this song, you know," or actually, no, Kenny Rogers called Lionel up, asking him to write a song for him. And Lionel's, you know, I don't really have the time. Kenny pitches it to him, and he says, well, you know, we're projecting this many numbers, this many tours, this much money to be made. Lionel says, I'm available tomorrow. And so Kenny Rogers and Lionel get together, and Lionel pulls out his book, and he says, I've got this song I've been working on. I pitched it to the Commodores. They turned it down. And he says, Lionel sits down at the piano, and he goes, Lady, da 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 da. It just plays the melody. Right. And Kenny said his response was, wow, I can't believe they turned down one word.
Well, at the beginning, like I said, at the beginning, it was Baby.
Yeah.
And Kenny's like, nah, and changed it to Lady. So, and it became one of the biggest hits he had.
Yeah. So he says, you know, a few months later, they finished working. They're in the recording studio, and Kenny is singing. And then he's looking down at the lyrics on the sheet, and then he realizes they only have one verse to the song.
Right.
And he's looking for Lionel. Lionel was in the studio with him, and he's looking around trying to find Lionel. Lionel was sitting in the bathroom writing the second verse to the song.
Greatness, folks. You know, greatness. I mean, and I've heard this before, writing the lyrics on a cocktail napkin sitting at the bar. A friend of mine, Edwin McCain, did that. The song I'll Be.
Yeah.
I'll be. He heard a drunk guy trying to hit on this, and Edwin McCain. I love him to death. He's a friend of mine. He heard this guy talking to some chick saying, "I'll be your crying shoulder. I'll be," and he's like, "Hey, bartender, I need a napkin. Can I get a pen?" And he wrote it down. Inspiration comes in the strangest places.
It does, absolutely. But yeah, Kenny Rogers had a lot of great music. Like you mentioned already, Lucille, The Gambler, Lady. He was a
You decorated my life.
Yes.
I could go on and on and on.
Yes, he was
Love
a
Kenny
phenomenal artist. And I do want to point out it was not the COVID-19 that brought him down. No, he was actually
in response to this. They're not holding a They're not having. They'll have a memorial service later on.
Yes.
But they're burying him right now.
Yes.
And they're not. They're not having any kind of service right now because of the COVID-19
Yeah.
thing right now.
But no, he was, and I did not know this either. He was under hospice care, and he died at home, surrounded by his family and friends.
Yes.
Died of natural causes.
A lot of country artists. One of my favorites that passed away almost a year and a couple months ago, Earl Thomas Conley.
Yeah.
The same way. He died of dementia, surrounded by friends, and these artists choose to go out in dignity, and much respect for that. No one knew Kenny Rogers was ill.
Yeah.
And in fact, just a few days, I think it's about a week ago, someone posted, there's a video out right now of We Are the World, where Kenny Rogers, of course,
Yeah.
he's singing that. The greatest talent. Funny story. Kenny Rogers was talking to Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates.
Yeah.
And Daryl Hall said, no, Kenny Rogers said, man, all the talent gathered in this room right now, because this was after the American Music Awards in 1984, right?
Right.
And he said, what would happen? Kenny said, what? No, I think Daryl Hall said, man, what would happen if a bomb was to drop on this building right now with all this talent in here? And Kenny Rogers said, John Denver will be back on the top of the charts. Classic. John Denver will be back on the top of the charts. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. That's one of the.
That sounds like something Kenny Rogers would say.
What would happen? John Denver will be back on top of the charts. You know,
Yep.
It makes sense. But
Yep.
anyway, the country music world, the music world
In general.
has lost one of its great talents.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely a sad day for that. Now, we do have a pretty heavy subject to talk about here, kind of carrying over from where we lost last week, where we left off last week, I should say. So, I'm gonna let you take over from here.
Okay. Last week's broadcast, I've watched it, and in truth, I don't really remember a lot of the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of on autopilot. Without getting into details, a lot of really terrible things happened to me in the past 30 days. If a person's life can fall apart, if there was a song years ago, not many people will know this, but it was called the Sanford Townsend Band, Smoke from a Distant Fire. And the first line is, you pulled the rug right out from under my life. Well, that's pretty much what happened to me. The rug got pulled right out from under my life about 5 weeks ago. And I'd been on autopilot for a while. And last week's broadcast, I don't really remember. You were here. I was here.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it, and with respect to Michael J. Fox, I looked like Michael J. Fox on Parkinson's. I was fidgeting. I was disassociated. I don't remember much of it all. And I watched the broadcast, and although I interacted with you, I don't remember what I said. Mm-hmm. And the reason is because at some point, I guess, I don't know when, I decided to end my life. And at the end of the broadcast, I remember thinking, hey, I want people to, I don't know why, but I brought up the suicide hotline.
Yeah.
And you pulled up the number on the VA hotline.
Mm-hmm.
And we broadcast that and said, hey, if you've got a problem, if you think you want to commit suicide, please call this number, blah, blah, blah. I left here, and I went to our favorite watering hole.
Yeah.
And I remember having a drink. I took all the money out of my wallet and put it into Ethan's tip jar.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but they told me later I did. I talked to Kristen, a friend of ours. And then I went home, and I took about 45 Klonopin, chased it with a couple of shots of Jack Daniels and a couple of beers, and I turned my phone off. Mm-hmm. Now, here's where things get really weird. I turned my phone off. I turned my phone off because I didn't want anyone to contact me. I didn't want to talk to anyone.
Right.
And about 3 minutes later, as I'm getting sleepy, my phone rings. And it's someone from the VA hotline. You did that.
Yeah.
A guy named Jimmy, and Jimmy, I've never met you, and I may never talk to you again. Probably won't because I'm good now. But Jimmy, thank you for calling me. Jimmy called me and was talking to me, and I'm like, "How the hell did you get my number? Why are you calling me?" Well, I'm not even registered with the VA. I just never did. And I couldn't understand what was going on. And then there's a knock on the door. There's police, and then there's an ambulance, and then I won't get into the gory details, but I'm in a hospital, and well, I'm alive today. I'm alive today because of you. And brother, I thank you for doing that. I don't know how you figured it out. I don't know what you saw because I didn't tell anybody. I didn't say anything. It was my therapist says it was a trigger. There's triggers that happen in someone's life. It snaps. As someone said, it could have been something happened in the Navy years ago. More likely than not, it's something that happened recently with a really bad relationship that went south. Any number of things could happen that makes you snap. And at some point, my subconscious said, I'm out of here. I'm done. Mm-hmm. And I tried to kill myself. And I'll tell you, it wasn't fun. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. If I said that I don't think about still doing it, I'd be lying because ever so often it pops up because life is bad. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. There's things that there's ups, there's downs. Mm-hmm. There's things that trigger me. There's things that make me really depressed. But at the end of the day, I'm dealing with things. I'm talking to people, which I didn't before. I had several friends that have tried to call me for weeks and weeks, and I just ignored their phone calls because I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want to tell them the story of what happened with my life. I didn't want to tell them the story of my fall from grace, of how everything went south, of how my life just went to shit within a period of about 72 hours. I didn't want to tell the story over and over again. So I just ignored everybody. Mm-hmm. I didn't. You tried to call me. I didn't talk to people. My mom tried to call me. My daughter tried to call me, and I ignored everybody. Yeah. Because I just did not want to deal with it. And that's what happens when someone wants to end their life. I do remember, and this is something that's important. When I went home, I felt a feeling of relief. It was like the weight of the world had left my shoulders. And I was happy because I was going to leave the shit show called my life. Mm-hmm. And I've been told that that's what a lot of people experience. They have this, they're depressed, and all of a sudden they're happy. And when they get happy, watch out because they've decided to make that change. And that's I remember leaving here feeling that way. That's why I put all the money in my wallet into Ethan's tip jar. I'm like, I'm done. I don't need the money anymore. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good to go. And so, here's the thing. Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And I said that last week, but I didn't really mean it. I really didn't mean it. I was going through the motions. I was just saying shit. I was just saying what everybody else says. I really didn't mean it. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I don't know if anybody out there has ever experienced this or felt this way, but if you've ever been to the point of despondency, the lowest point in your life, and you just don't want to be there anymore, there comes a point when you make that decision and suddenly the burden's lifted because I'm not going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I'm not paying my bills. I'm not going to do this. I'm gone. I'm out of here. You can deal with this shit show. I'm not going to anymore. And you asshole, called the VA hotline. And I'm just kidding. I don't know how my phone got turned back on. Gizmo's a smart cat, but I don't think he turned the phone back on. I know I turned the phone off. I don't know how it got turned back on. All I know is that when I was getting ready to drift off into that final peaceful sleep, the phone rang and some guy named Jimmy called me, and then everything else happened. And I'm still here today. And if there's anything to be gleaned from this, it's that in your darkest hour when the demons come for you, call me. We'll fight them together.
Yeah.
And I'm still here. And
he's not really. This is Donnie's evil twin.
Every day is a little. Yeah, I have an evil twin. Believe me, I do. Every day is a little different. But it's like a rubber band. When you pull a rubber band back here, okay, you're back here, and let's say this is the worst point in your life.
Yeah.
All right, and you're ready to kill yourself. You're despondent. Okay, now when you let it go, it snaps back that way.
Yeah.
Do you want to be in front of that rubber band when it snaps back?
No.
I've snapped back. And I have decided to write a book. It's going to be a work in progress. It's going to take a while, but I'm writing a book. And I've decided to do some other things that are going to... they're going to help me get through this problem, this point in my life. I can't get into details right now. It involves a person, but I'm getting through this. And if I said it last week, but I feel like I'm a hypocrite by saying if you have a problem, if you think you're going to commit suicide, if you think you're going to kill yourself, call someone, because I didn't call anybody. So I really can't say that. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm many things. I've done a lot of bad things in my life, and I've made some mistakes, but I'm not a hypocrite.
No, you're not. And here's the thing about it. You know, for something like this, you know, as you already pointed out, you were basically just running on autopilot last week.
I looked at the broadcast, and I don't know who that guy was.
Yeah.
He was like Michael J. Fox on Parkinson's. I don't know who that guy was, but there was something there.
Yeah. So I am by no means an expert when it comes to excuse me. I am by no means an expert when it comes to psychiatry, psychology, things of that matter. I am, as some of our people know, I am a little bit more versed when it comes to suicide, simply because of the fact that I have personally experienced it. And
you saw it personally?
Yes.
Up close and personal?
Yes. 20 feet away, up close and personal. But we won't get into the gory details of that. And, you know, aside from what I experienced with that, I still remember all of the death by PowerPoint that I had to sit through when I was in the military. Before we would go on deployment, when we would come home off of deployment, we would always have suicide awareness briefs.
Right.
And, I mean, you were exhibiting a lot of the telltale signs of somebody who was getting ready to end it.
Well, I was?
You were. Not so much here, but later on, after the broadcast, when you went out and you put all your money in the tip jar and you told Kristen that you were done looking for work, you weren't going to need work anymore, it was irrelevant, so on and so forth. Those are all telltale signs of somebody who is seriously in that mindset.
I don't remember that. I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, because I got there about 5 minutes after you had left. And when I saw Ethan and Kristen talking to one another, the very first thing I asked them when I got there, what's going on with Donnie? And both of them, their jaws, well, we don't know, but something's definitely wrong. And then they told me about what you'd said and done while you were there. So that is when I took it. You do not have to be somebody who is in distress to call the suicide hotline. You can call the suicide hotline for somebody. You can remain anonymous, or you can let them tell whoever it is who's calling. It doesn't matter. I don't know, like you said, I don't know how your phone got turned on. I
turned it off. I know that much because after I took the meds, after I drank my 3 shots of Jack and downed a couple of beers, I turned the phone off because I wasn't looking for attention. I wasn't looking for, I wasn't crying. I just wanted this shit show that has been my life to end.
Right.
And I turned the phone off. And then the next thing I know, this guy named Jimmy's calling. Jimmy, wherever you are, thanks. I didn't know. I don't know how that happened. Mm-hmm. Gizmo, my cat, he's a smart cat. He really is. And I don't think he turned the phone on, though. I don't know. Well, do you believe in higher power or God or whatever? I don't know. I just know that the phone rang.
Well, I just know that Valhalla wasn't ready for you.
Thanks, brother.
So
I do know that I looked at the phone. I'm like 205. The hell's 205? That's Birmingham,
yeah.
And it was the Birmingham VA. And I've talked to several people who have said that well, one theory is that I actually turned the phone back on. I really don't think I did.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think I did. And I believe in God, and I believe in His Son Jesus Christ, and I think, I don't know, maybe just like you said, Valhalla's not really for me yet. Yeah. I don't know. I do know this. I appreciate you being a friend. I appreciate you you seeing that. And Ethan and Kristen also for noticing that.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I was on autopilot, and I really don't know. I will say this. One person or one situation is, and this is me genuflecting now, one person, one situation is not worth your life. No matter how bad it gets, it'll get better.
Yeah.
And like the rubber band that was pulled back here, now it's snapped back the other direction. And things are going to be all right.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's like I've always been told, when you're at the bottom of the barrel, there's nowhere to go but up.
Well, yeah. Rock bottom is good, solid ground.
That's right.
There's a country song. Yeah.
That's
when
right.
You hit rock bottom, it's good, solid ground. There's nowhere to go but up. So that's what I'm looking at right now. And I know there's going to be pitfalls and pratfalls, and there's going to be all kinds of crap that I've got to go through. And I'm by no means out of the woods right now, but I'm getting there. And karma's a bitch.
Yes, she is.
Karma is a bitch, and there are certain people that reveled in my downfall and that caused the things that happened to me. And you know what? All I got to say is this, man. You better check your 6, because karma's looking at you. Karma is a bitch, and she has a long, hard memory.
This is not a shameless product plug, by the way.
Red Bull. Yes.
Gives you wings. So,
anyway, if you think that if you're at the bottom of the barrel like I was last week, if you think that you can't go any further, there's a phone number. Call the VA hotline. Call a friend. Call somebody. And I hope that when you reach that point that you have friends like I have. I don't have a lot of money, and I don't have a lot of stature, and my fall from grace is well documented in the past 45 days. But I will say this. I got friends in low places.
Absolutely you do.
And I got good friends. And with that, I'm all right.
Yeah. So we're gonna move off from that now, because the world is just going fucking crazy right now.
The coronavirus,
the beer bug,
the what?
The beer bug.
The beer bug. Yeah, beer bug. We joked about it at first when on my broadcast in radio a month or so ago. I was joking about the fact that people actually stopped buying Corona because they thought,
Yeah.
no, and that blew me away. I'm like, people really think it's the coronavirus is called by Corona beer? Well, it's not. But here's the thing. And I've read up on this, and I've studied some stuff. And being a former corpsman, it fascinated me, the medical aspect of this. And here's what really hit me. People say, I don't have the coronavirus. All right. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't think you do. But maybe you do.
Right.
You watch The Walking Dead?
Not in a while.
Okay. Remember the first season?
Vaguely.
Okay. First season, there's an episode called TS-19. It's where all the walkers get to the CDC in Atlanta, and they're ensconced inside the CDC, and the guy that's in charge of it tells them, when you come in, you're not getting back out. It's the one way. But they came in anyway, and they got showers and food and wine, and everything's great. And he told them, you're not getting back out.
Yeah.
And there's a thing called VI, V-A-I, Virtual Artificial Intelligence, okay, and that controls everything. And Vi was going to basically, when the power ran down, when she was getting ready to run down, Vi initiated basically the next strongest thing to a thermonuclear blast. Okay. And it did so to destroy all of the nasty ass viruses that the CDC has.
Right.
And this much is true. Weaponized Ebola, weaponized smallpox, anthrax, all kinds of stuff. The CDC in Atlanta has all kinds of nasty shit that you, as he said, you don't want this shit getting out in the world.
Yeah.
So when the power starts to run down, it would destroy everything. Now, he was showing, he showed a thing, and it was called TS-19, Test Subject 19. And Test Subject 19 was his wife that contracted the Walker disease, as they say.
Yeah.
It made him a zombie. And he had to kill her. Okay. Now, at the very end of the episode, everybody's leaving. They're getting out. And he's getting, and the countdown's going. It's getting ready to blow everything to hell and back. And he leans over to Rick, and he whispers something in his ear. And Rick looks at him like, and they leave. Later on, someone says, what did he tell you? He said, it's in all of us. We all have it. They thought up until that point that if you got scratched by a walker, bit by a walker, whatever, that's how you became a zombie. But what he told them was that everybody's got it. And when you die, that's what happens. Now, I'm not being an alarmist here, but let's just say, for example, and I've read this on a couple of different websites, not Facebook, but a couple of different medical websites. Here's how this works. You don't think you've got COVID-19.
Right.
You don't show any outward signs of COVID-19, right?
Right.
Okay. So, but you got it. You don't know it. You go to the grocery store, all right, and you use a buggy, and somebody comes after you and uses that buggy. Now, COVID-19's on your hands. It's on the buggy. Now, that person's got COVID-19. You don't know because there's very few places right now have the testing ability to test and find it, okay, and say that you've got COVID-19.
Right.
So 14 days, 15 days, I don't know how many days, 15, 21 days, whatever. I think the 14 day is the incubation period.
Yeah.
So you don't know from 14 days from the time of touching that buggy that you got it, but it's there. And you think you're okay, and you continue going on about your daily business.
Right.
And you touch other things. You see other people. You go and you touch your face, you shake hands, whatever. And for 14 days, you have infected other people. And then on day 15, you realize that something's up. And then on day 16, 17, 18, you realize that your respiratory system is having some problems. You're having a dry cough. You've got a fever that went from 101 to 104. And all of a sudden, you've got coronavirus. But you've already infected how many people? And how many people that you've infected have infected other people? That's why this social distancing thing is so important.
Right.
It is so very important because even you go, I'm healthy. I don't have COVID-19. I don't have coronavirus. You don't know that because we don't have enough tests out there to determine whether you do or not. So you could be infecting many, many people and you don't know it. Stay your ass at home. Wash your hands. Wash your ass. Don't touch your, just do the basic stuff. And the problem is that I saw an aerial view of Panama City Beach. I think it was earlier in the week, maybe Monday or Tuesday.
Probably the barest you've ever seen it.
No, there were like a lot of people there. There were a lot of kids out there on the beach. They're like.
Now, was this before or after they ordered all the beaches shut down?
This was before they ordered the beaches shut down.
Okay.
But they'd already been saying, hey, look, you need to before they actually initiated the orders to distance yourselves.
Right.
Kids were like, no, I don't have it. And that's the problem. I don't have it. You don't know that you don't have it.
Right.
You might have it. And if you do, you've just given it to 30 other people.
Right. Now, we were talking before the show. You mentioned something about you'd heard where somebody said COVID stands for like Chinese originated.
Yeah, it was Chinese originated viral infectious disease. And that's bullshit. That's not what it stands for, folks.
No, it's not. So I have an article pulled up here, and this was posted on my birthday on March 17th.
There's so much false information on the internet that's making people just go nuts, and it's ridiculous. Folks, if you don't know what you're talking about, shut the fuck up.
Yes. Now, this is an article written by Dr. Sophie Vergnaud. Yeah. Dr. Sophie, MBBS. She is a clinical expert on the GoodRx. Sure.
Okay.
She is a clinical expert on the GoodRx research team. This article is on the GoodRx website, and it says COVID-19 is the name given by the World Health Organization on February 11th of 2020 for the disease caused by the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2. Mm-hmm. It started in Wuhan, China in late 2019 and has since spread worldwide. COVID-19 is an acronym that stands for Coronavirus Disease of 2019.
And it didn't start by someone eating a damn bat. Have you seen that?
I've seen it in the news. I've actually seen a few. I won't say reputable sources, but I mean it's not like Duffel Blog or something like that reporting it.
I love Duffel Blog. Duffel Blog rocks. No, I mean, and I might be wrong, but I don't think so. I don't think it's caused by eating a bat or bat soup or no shit like that. And there was somebody posted a thing on Facebook, and here again, social media is a great source for information and a great source for misinformation.
We need to do it like this. Social media is a great source for information about your social life. That's why it's called social media.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But it showed some market in China with like chopped up dogs and cats and puppies on a stick and that sort of thing. And it's nasty, but that's just that's what China. That's China. It's a third world. I'm not saying third world country, but it is a third world country in some respects.
I'm going to interrupt because I just realized what I just said, and we're using a social media platform.
We
to
are.
deliver news.
Yes. Yeah. Right. But here's the thing. I mean, it showed this video of all these animals and this terrible in this country it would not be tolerated because the nastiness of it, it was terrible. That would not be tolerated in this country, obviously.
Right.
Did that start COVID? No, I don't think so. Nobody eating bat soup or eating the heads, biting the heads off of bats, a la Ozzy Osbourne. That's not what started it. But the misinformation that is going out on the internet and on social media is not helping anything at all.
Right.
If you want real information, you have to go to reputable websites, the CDC, Center for Disease Control.
The World Health Organization.
WHO, absolutely. And check those things out. And there are also websites for every state. For example, Alabama has a website where you can tell county by county what cases are confirmed,
right,
suspected, how many have recovered, how many have died. And I don't think today, I might be wrong, but as of today, I don't think anyone in the state of Alabama has died from COVID-19.
I believe that's correct. I don't know. I know as of yesterday, of course, I haven't been following that statistic.
But here's the thing: this shit is like it's exponentially increasing. So you got 4 cases today. Tomorrow you got 8. The next day you've got 12. Next day you got 16, and on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually there's going to be deaths because the elderly, those with compromised immune systems, if you have like, I don't know, if you have respiratory problems, if you have heart problems, anything that compromises your immune system naturally, and you contract COVID-19, you are at a very, very increased risk for death.
Yes.
And it should not be taken lightly.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. Of course, as everybody knows, Donald Trump is no stranger to speaking his mind. And
I don't have a problem with that. I
don't either. I have no problem with the fact that
I'm not the biggest Trump supporter in the world. Everybody knows that. But, the man's done some things that I think are beneficial to this country. He's done some things to shore up the economy in this crisis. Mm-hmm. And I think he stepped up a little bit late, but he stepped up to the plate, and he's taking measures to mitigate the damage and to try and fix things.
Yeah, and I wish I so wish I had the audio from this exchange, because I laughed my ass off for a solid 10 minutes over this. But he's giving a press conference, and a female reporter in the audience asks him, you keep referring to this as the Chinese virus or Chinese or whatever it is he's called. And she says, this is creating a lot of racial tension because you're saying that this is, China's fault and all this other stuff. And I'm paraphrasing everything that she said. Right. But, she's basically trying to call Trump a racist.
And the president says.
And he's like, he says, I call it that because it came from China. It came from China. From China. You got to watch the video. His facial expression. I mean, he is dead serious when he is talking to this woman. Yeah, looks her straight in the eye and just goes, "It's from China."
And like I said, I'm not his biggest supporter, but Mr. President, good job there. I mean, you nailed it. You nailed it. And he has taken steps to shore up the economy, and he's taken steps to try and mitigate the damage that this is doing to the country. I think he got it. I don't think he took it seriously at first, but nobody did. A lot of people didn't take it seriously at first. Oh, it's like the flu, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden this shit started. It's like, did you ever read the Stephen King novel, The Stand?
I did not read that one, though.
One of my favorite books from 1989, I think it was, 88, 89. I remember reading it.
Somewhere between 1980 and 1989.
87, 8, somewhere along in there. And there was a disease called Captain Trips. They made a movie about it, which had an all-star cast back in 1993.
Right.
Phenomenal movie. But the disease was called Captain Trips. And it was actually started in a military, like CDC, but a military laboratory.
Of course,
where they were weaponizing something, and it got out of hand, and this shit just went everywhere. And there's some parallels being drawn between that and here. And I've seen some people on Facebook talking about it. And the thing is this. Nobody took it seriously at first.
Yeah.
And when this came out, nobody took this seriously. It's like the flu. It's nothing serious. It's like, you'll get over it, blah, blah, blah. And then people started dying. And then countries went in lockdown. And then. And it just, and now, and here's the thing. I think other countries did not take it seriously, but I think the United States has looked at it and said, okay, we're going to learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay, we're a little bit behind the curve, but if we get on top of this shit, if we tackle it, we can knock it out.
Yes.
And I think the United States is, rather than learning from their own mistakes, they're learning from someone else's mistakes. Mm-hmm. And maybe, just maybe, we can get on top of this and we can knock it out. But it's going to take everybody staying at home. Don't go out. Don't go to the beach. Don't go on a vacation. Don't. I hate to say it, don't go to church. Don't go, the governor of the state has already initiated, and Steve Marshall, Attorney General, has now imposed, has said that officials can impose fines if you are caught in violation of this. If you have gatherings of more than 25 people, whatever, that the police can. Not that they will, but they can impose a fine.
Yes.
Birmingham's already initiated it. Steve Marshall initiated for the gave permission for the entire state to do this now, and maybe now people will take it seriously.
Maybe, and I agree. Yeah, it's 2 weeks, people. 2 weeks. Just spend 2 weeks at home. Fucking unless you are what they call an essential worker,
right?
First
healthcare
responder,
worker, first responder.
Healthcare. I hate to say it, but fast food, restaurant stuff. They still got to work, and I get that, and they're taking their measures. But
here's on that. I've heard that they some banks, mortgage companies, whatever, are like suspending payments of your mortgage, suspending payments of
I have heard that, yes.
But you have to call them. They're not going to do it out of the goodness of their heart, okay? You have to call them and say, hey, I can't go to work. My work laid me off, and I can't pay my house payment. I can't make this payment, whatever. You've got to call them. They're not. These people are not going to do this out of the goodness of their hearts. They are finance people, first of all, okay? They want to make money. They want to get their payments, but because and here again, I don't know what the exact I don't know
what the parameters are,
right? But you got to call them and say, "Hey, I've been laid off. My work has been affected, and I can't pay it." And in certain circumstances, these people will suspend your mortgage payments, your house payment, even some places rent. Now, not all landlords are going to do that because there's some greedy ass bastards out there.
Yep.
But some landlords will say, okay, you don't have to pay the rent this month. And to those people that are doing this, I salute you, thank you, and you are a godsend. And you know what? All I can say is that by doing this, God or whatever higher power you believe in will reward you for doing that because you're helping your fellow man. Those of you who don't, who say rent's due, blah, 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 you know what?
Karma's a bitch.
Karma's a bitch. It's going to kick you in your ass.
All right, so now the last thing we have to talk about, and this is, it kind of hits home for me. Well, shit, if I can remember my damn, there we go. Kind of hits home for me because this is about the Marine Corps. And the Marine Corps has a 10-year plan to result in downsizing by the year 2030. And I have this article here pulled up. It is from the Wall Street Journal.
Why? Why are we downsizing? Why?
Well, the title of the article says Marines plan to retool to meet China threat. China.
Okay.
It says most sweeping transformation in decades will shift focus from fighting insurgents in the Middle East to preparing for conflict in the Western Pacific. I cannot word tonight.
What would Mad Dog Mattis say about this, I wonder? Yeah, we're not going to say what he would say. I have a good idea what
God sort him out.
Yeah, exactly. And a few other four-letter words thrown in there, but I'm pretty sure what Mad Dog would say.
So it says the Marine Corps is undertaking its most sweeping transformation in decades, pivoting from a focus on fighting insurgents in the Middle East to developing the ability to hop from island to island in the Western Pacific to bottle up the Chinese fleet. We're going back to World War II. To
Western
the island
Pacific?
hopping.
That's what I'm saying. What are we? We're going to Iwo Jima again?
Apparently.
The hell?
The 10-year plan to revamp the Corps, scheduled to be unveiled this week, follows years of classified U.S. war games that revealed China's missile and naval forces to be eroding American military advantages in the region. China, in terms of military capability, is the pacing threat, General David Berger, the Marine Corps commandant, said in an interview. If we did nothing, we would be passed. To reinvent themselves as a naval expeditionary force within budget limits, the Marines plan to get rid of all of their tanks, cut back on their aircraft and shrink in total numbers from 189,000 to as few as 170,000, General Berger said.
Did you say get rid of all their tanks?
Yes. Now, I'm not going to read the whole article, but I am going to go down to the numbers right here. So these are the projected numbers for the Marine Corps' 10-year plan. Unmanned aerial vehicle squadrons. Currently, we have 3 squadrons of UAVs.
Okay.
By the year 2030, they want to be up to 6, so doubling the UAV squadrons.
Okay, that's cool.
Missile and rocket batteries. Currently, there are 7. By the year 2030, the Marine Corps wants to be up to 21.
Okay, cool.
So 3 times as many missile and rocket batteries.
So we're going more technological.
Yes,
Okay.
that would be the appearance.
That's cool. That's no problem with that.
Yeah. Currently, we have 3 C-130 aircraft squadrons. Projected by 2030, they want to be at 4, so adding an additional squadron there. Fighter and attack aircraft squadrons, we're going to stay the same at 18. No changes. Now, this is where things start changing. Currently, we have 21 cannon batteries, artillery batteries.
Right.
155s, so on and so forth.
Right.
By the year 2030, they want to be down to 5 batteries.
So, what happens if we're on a ground war? What do we do?
I have no idea.
The UAVs are going to take over what the ground forces are going to do?
Who knows?
What?
Tank companies. Currently,
this kills me.
Currently, there are 7 tank companies in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
By 2030, 0.
Big fucking mistake. Sorry.
Bridging companies.
Bad language, but I'm just saying, man, that's no.
Bridging companies, which are usually tied in with tank companies.
Right.
Currently, there are 3 in the Marine Corps. 2030, 0. Now,
how do you get the damn tank across a ford? I mean, how do you ford the?
Currently, there are 24 infantry battalions. By 2030, they're cutting it down to 21. We're losing 3 infantry battalions.
Okay, the ground forces, the grunt is that's the crux of the Marine Corps. It always has been.
Yeah.
The infantryman, the rifleman has always been the crux of the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Every Marine is a rifleman. I don't care if you play a tuba in the damn Marine Corps band. I don't care if you're a typist in the type pool. I don't care. You can break down an M16 or whatever. You can break down a 45. You blindfolded. You're a rifleman first.
Yeah.
So they're cutting down. They're taking 3 away.
Yeah, they're taking 3 battalions away, which
it's not a lot, but still, it
equates to roughly about. Let's see here. There's usually roughly about. I want to say it's usually roughly about 4. No, probably about 800 to 900 Marines per battalion. And I'm just estimating numbers. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in, so numbers have changed a lot since I got out.
So 2,700 Marines. That's not a lot, but it depends on where they are, where they're stationed, where the depletions are going to be.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if we're looking at trying to face China, if we're looking at trying to meet, we're not going to meet China. They've got more manpower to throw at us. They've got what? What's the population of China? It's like
half the population of the Earth.
Exactly. I mean, they can throw people at us forever. So,
I wonder, doesn't the Chinese military uniforms do the same thing that North Korea does with all the medals and everything? I mean, couldn't we just fly like a big-ass magnet over China and be done with it?
Yeah, they get a medal for everything. They get a medal for waking up in the morning, for taking a crap or whatever. But here's the thing. Okay, look. I understand that we've got to deploy our forces more strategically, more intelligently.
Yes.
We've got to look at the UAVs,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Okay, I get that. But I think eliminating the tanks, at the end of the day, if worse comes to worse, okay, one big EMP can take out your UAVs. One big EMP can take out all of your electronic crap.
Well, I mean, it can take out your tanks, too. And here's the thing about it. It's not so much that they're doing away with the tank companies. If they would go from 7 to 1, and here's the reason why. I was talking with my old company gunnery sergeant, who's now retired, And his thought process is that's knowledge that we're losing.
Mm-hmm.
You cut out all of your tanks. Now, all of a sudden, we don't have anybody who knows about tanks anymore.
Because these guys are going in retirement. They're leaving the service. They're going wherever, whatever. And when we need them, we've got no one that could do it.
Absolutely. So, of course, like I said, infantry battalions from 24 to 21, losing 3 battalions. Tilt rotor aircraft squadrons, the Osprey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not brokenhearted about this. I never liked the Osprey. The one time I became a praying man was when I had to fly on an Osprey from Al Asad to Korean Village.
You went from being an atheist to a God-fearing Christian.
Yes. They say that there's no atheists in foxholes. Well, there's no atheists riding in an Osprey. And the reason why, I'm sure you remember in the news when they first brought out the Osprey. It seemed like every other week one of the test flights had crashed and everybody on board was killed.
And when you're hearing, yep, we're getting ready to get on Osprey, it's like, I'm going to sick bay.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the flight line.
I'm real ill right now.
I'm sitting on the flight line. We're in Al Asad. We're getting ready to catch the bird to go to KV. And before, we flew on the Sea Knights, the 57 or 53. I can't remember what it is. But basically just a big ass cargo helicopter. And flying that way takes about an hour and 20 minutes roughly to fly from KV to Al Asad or Al Asad to KV. By the Osprey, takes about 40 to 45 minutes. So we're on the flight line. And I'm expecting, again, we're going to be riding on the cargo bob getting there. And then I see these 2 Ospreys come flying in. And my staff sergeant comes over and he says, all right, everybody gear up and board the bird. Nope. Not doing it. Sanders, grab your gear, get on the bird. Staff sergeant, can I just walk? I will walk. I will gladly walk if I do not have to fly on that fucking thing.
Oh, man.
Of course, I had to fly. I did not enjoy it. Not one bit. And it's not that it was an uncomfortable flight. It's not that it was a long flight. Again, it only takes like 40, 45 minutes.
It was an Osprey.
But the whole time, I'm sitting there thinking in the back of my head, let's see, this one crashed on this date, this one crashed on this date, this many souls were on board, this many souls were on board.
It's not like you're riding on the C-130 and you're back in the web gear and you're getting a box lunch which is stale. It's been,
Yeah.
Been
around since Desert Storm.
And you got to put on earphones to keep, because you loud. Yeah. It's different. Ospreys are a different creature. But, and I know you're not sad about them depleting that, but they also serve a purpose.
They do.
I have to ask this question and I know changes are made all the time. The Ospreys don't bother me. The tanks, that bothers me.
Yes.
That really bothers me a lot because, like you said, we're going to eliminate that. And then the group of people that are knowledgeable about tanks, that are tank commanders, that are tanks, they're going to be gone. And then when we need them again, what the hell are we going to do?
Right. Absolutely.
And I say we because I'm Navy, but Marine. Yeah. But anyway, what are we going to do?
Absolutely. Helicopter attack squadrons, so Cobras, things like that, going from 7 to 5. We're losing 2 attack squadrons.
Now this is to meet a growing threat from China?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then helicopter heavy lift squadrons going from 8 to 5.
So how are we going to get, we don't have tanks anymore, so we don't have to carry anything. Here's the thing. This shit is decided by people with stars on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Who may or may not have ever heard a shot fired in anger. Who are making, $150,000 a year. And I don't know. The powers that be do this stuff, and the people that have to face the ramifications of these decisions, bad or good, are the people who have chevrons on their shoulders and not stars.
Yeah. I cannot speak on behalf of General Berger. I have no knowledge of him. I mean, obviously, he was active while I was active. But I had no idea who he was, never heard his name until he became Commandant of the Marine Corps. And, of course, that was after I had already got out. So I cannot speak on behalf of who he is. I know that there are several officers that I knew of or served with while I was in. Most of them either had 2 bars or gold oak leaf clusters on their collars. And they were the types of officers, like when we would go out to the firing range. Yeah, mostly in the 9, but no, it broke the line. They'd take their pen and a 9mm, a 5.56. You've got an impact point on paper that's smaller than the tip of my pinky, and they're taking a pen that's the size of my index finger, and they're going up. Broke the line.
I served way before you were in, like way before. But one thing never changes. Rank has its privileges,
Yep.
and the people with stars on their shoulders make the decisions. And oftentimes I'm wondering if they really think about the enlisted man, if they think about the person that's actually, because enlisted people, the chiefs, staff sergeants, the gunnies, they are the backbone of the service. I wonder if they really think about how this is affecting them, how this is going to affect the overall good of the service.
Yes. There are...
Are they looking? Do they have 2 stars looking for the 3rd, 3 stars looking for the 4th?
Right. Like I said, there are several officers that I've known and worked for throughout my time in the military. Some of them I would have followed into hell because they were excellent leaders. Some of them I would not follow into the chow hall. Some I would only follow out of idle curiosity.
I had several chiefs, and I'm a friend with the Master Chief right now on Facebook. I've never met him, but I know of his type. I know the kind of person he is just simply by talking to him. But the chiefs that I knew in the Navy, the majority of them, there was a couple of them that, we called them REMF, rear echelon MFs.
Yeah.
And they were, they did what they had to do to get through the end of the day and nothing more, and they didn't give a damn about you. And then there were those who would say, all right, we got to get this done, rolled up their sleeves and jumped right in and worked with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the backbone of the military, Navy, Army, Air Force, Marine Corps, the whole 9, well, maybe not Air Force, but Navy. Sorry. No, I had to do that. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
But anyway, but the enlisted people, the enlisted servicemen are the backbone of the service.
Absolutely.
And again, I'm wondering if the people that are making these decisions that you've just outlined, the reduction in force of certain companies and certain battalions, if they're actually thinking about the overall good, if they're thinking about how this is going to affect everything, if they're really thinking about how this is going to enhance or harm their ability to meet a threat from China or from Iran, Iraq, whatever.
Yeah.
Or if there's simply they've got 2 stars and they want the 3rd, 3 stars and they want that 4th.
Right. Because,
hey, we've both served with officers who had that. In my case, I had a captain. I was served with a captain who was a captain, been passed over twice for promotion. You know what happens if you get passed over that 3rd time?
Mm-hmm.
You're captain retired, okay?
Yep.
And he'd been passed over twice, and he wanted that star, and he volunteered for every shit detail that came down the pike. And no, I'm serious. We didn't take port for like months. Every crap detail, boom. We take port for 2 days, back out again. 3 days, back out again. For a month or 2 months, whatever. And it was because he wanted that star.
Yeah.
And he didn't give a damn about the people under his command. We had people going UA left and right, and he only cared about that star.
Yeah.
And then there's those who they care about the people under their command, and they're really great officers and great chiefs, and it was an honor to serve with those people.
Yeah.
But again, they're few and far between.
They really are. We're going to have to leave it there. We're running out of time here. Don't forget to tune in on Armed Radio on Monday nights at 10:30 Eastern to listen to this show. And also on Tuesdays, don't forget to tune in to listen to my show, 2AT Second Amendment Talk, with me and Rod Burks there. It's been a good show.
Excellent show.
Glad you're still around with us. Glad we got more shows to keep doing and everything. Glad I don't have to find another co-host. So, again, big shout out to the troops. We appreciate everything y'all are doing for us. Keep up the work. Come home safe. We're all rooting for you here back home.